Welcome back, veterans. Kate here, CEO of VetCom. So in our last video, Jim was showing you the rent versus own. And hopefully you can agree with most people that it makes a lot more sense for your future to become a homeowner rather than to remain a renter. And one of the big things that Jim covered was where appreciation equals the velocity of money. And you might have thought, what in the heck is the velocity of money? Well, the easiest way to explain it is to tell you a little story. And in this case, it happens to be a true story. It's the story of our broker, Jim, who just like you decided to purchase his first home. And he did this quite a long time ago. He figured out how to turn only $12,450 into over $1 million. And the coolest part of the story is that you can do it too. So let's just jump right in. Let's go. So back in December of 1999, Jim was just a young lieutenant in the Marine Corps, so he wasn't fancy Jim that you met, broker Jim. No, not Jim now that's very successful. He was just young Lieutenant Jim making less than $2,500 a month, and much like you, decided to purchase his first home. Now this home was not his dream home. It was just a very mediocre home, but he knew that's what most first homes are. And it was a step of many that led him to where he is today. He purchased this home for $249,000, putting down just $12,450. Now, if you can believe this, going way back, he actually had to borrow half of that money from his dad. I know that seems crazy knowing who he is now, but you know what? Everybody's got to start somewhere. So he keeps his house for 2 years and a day. And you might ask, why the day? Well, that was capital gains, and we'll address that much later. So he sells this home for $350,000. Wow, so I mean, in 2 short years, after paying back his dad and his fees, he was able to net a profit of a whopping $80,000. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know another way to make 80 grand in just 2 short years. So what did he do with the 80,000? Well, he did 3 things. The first thing, well, he needed a new primary residence. So he stepped up a bit to a home for $399,000, putting down $20,000 of the 80. He then decided to try his hand at the investment corner that we spoke about before. And he purchased his first rental property for $312,000, putting down $15,600. So you might be thinking, what did he do with the rest of his winnings? Well, the $44,400 remaining, he decided to put that into the stock market. Now, let's see what happens with these 3 investments if we just apply a little bit of time. So we'll get in our little time machine, we'll go forward about 14 years. That $44,400 in the stock market becomes $87,000. So even in a down market cycle, Jim was able to nearly double that investment in the stock market. Now, you probably agree with most people that that was quite a feat. So let's go ahead and compare that to what happened in his real estate investments. That home for $399,000, well, that becomes $850,000. That's an equity profit of $451,000. I mean, that's pretty close to $500,000. Now, in March of 2015, Jim converted this home into a rental property, charging $33.95 per month in rent, while his mortgage way back was still only $25.41. Now, you might be thinking, how is this man charging so much in rent? Well, remember, we just learned that rent goes up. But mortgages, well, they stay the same. So speaking of rent going up, he now charges $38.95 in rent. So that same little mortgage, he's able to put $13.54 right in his pocket every single month. And I don't know about you, but I think we could all use an extra $1,300 a month. Am I right? So what happened with the rental property? That home for $312,000 is now valued at a whopping $560,000. That's an equity profit to date of $248,000. That's almost another $250,000. His rental income, $28.45, against his low mortgage of only $19.51, he's able to put another almost $900 a month right into his pocket. Now, do you remember moments ago we agreed how awesome it was that he nearly doubled his money in the stock market, right? But I think we can all agree that that pales in comparison with what he was able to do on the real estate side. And you know what? Jim would totally agree. He actually says that's one of the biggest mistakes that he ever made. Can you imagine though, that that's your biggest mistake, that you double your money in the stock market? But at last, that was Jim's biggest mistake. But it was good timing. He wised up and he took all that money and he put it back where it belonged all along, back into real estate. And it was a great deal because in March of 2015, he turned his property into a rental, and he needed a new primary residence. So he took all of those stock market winnings, putting them down on a home for $877,000 that is now valued today at a whopping $1.2 million. That's an equity profit to date of $323,000. So guys, bottom line, he was able to make a total passive equity profit of $1,022,000. That's a total monthly passive rental income profit of $22.48 per month ongoing. So how was all this made possible? Well, by that one decision that Jim made back in 1999, much like the decision that you're about to make, because you should be thinking of pursuing home ownership. That one decision led to all of Jim's entire story. So as you can see, by following the velocity of money, Jim was able to turn only $12,450 into over $1 million. And that's more than a 400% gain passively, so not even working for it. And the coolest part of the entire story is that you can do it too.